Lebanon was, in the 1950s, a postcard-perfect country, offering stunning beauty and an ideal lifestyle. At this Beirut golden age, a 9-year-old boy stood out to embrace the fascinating world of fashion. As a very young boy, ELIE started working for a renowned tailor in Beirut. He learned how to take measurements, how to cut, and sew. He was 16 years old, only 16, when he opened his own atelier de couture. As sharp as a needle, he put all his talent and know-how in his designs, and soon enough, he had an impact on Lebanese couture at that time.
This young man you're telling about is my father. He's ELIE, and I'm so proud to be his son.
ELIE's evening gowns and suits became a must-have for Lebanese high society women, and soon enough, for foreigners too. He used to receive his clients, pen and paper in hand, start to sketch their ideas, and add his own personal touch, with the details making all the difference.
I grew up in his atelier, so I was always called to help clean up, take off the pins, put some order in the showroom. I used to see these beautiful ladies coming in and out, sometimes less beautiful, but always very elegant. I used to hear the machine voice, the Arabic music, all this, the ladies sewing and talking and preparing new things, touching the material. It was a very exciting era.
Watching his father create inspired young Tony. As soon as he was old enough, he made up his mind. Although his father was not keen on him going into fashion, Tony departed to Paris to study design.
My father wasn't okay at all. He wanted me to pursue some other studies, medicine studies, where I was called to be. And so I decided to leave, just close the door, and even without his consent. With a couple of $100 in my pocket, I had to start all over and try to find new solutions.
In France, to make ends meet, Tony worked in Maison, Lanvin, and with Karl Lagerfeld at Chloé, as well as Gianfranco Ferré at Christian Dior.
Working with these designers during the years taught me a lot. Very different approach, very different volume, backgrounds, feelings, and you know, the experience in Paris, the couture way, the old techniques. There's only one technique to do couture, and this technique was the one I was taught. And dealing with the clients, being a Lebanese person who spoke Arabic, was able to speak also English. I had languages was very easy for me, while for French people it was much more complicated. So I had the easy part of dealing with some Gulf clients and US clients, and this was really very interesting. And I felt that I was collecting a lot of information, and at a certain moment I was ready to kick off and start my new adventure and build my own brand.
So, when he completed his degree at the Chambre syndicale de la couture parisienne, 7 years later, he returned home to Beirut to create his first collection and launch Tony Ward Couture.
Coming back to Beirut was a big surprise to me, because I left with no consent, came back with hugs and a proud look. My father was I don't think any father would do what my father did that day. He was ready to step down, give me the space, and just be my backbone. He was ready to take off his name out of the door and put mine. I wasn't very comfortable with the idea until he was there, and it was much easier for me to start with his presence around me. Being around him in Beirut, being around someone with his expertise, he had a facility of creating of nothing, the piece, the jackets. When he used, in half a day, he can just build a jacket, do the structure and build the whole thing. People around him would get really frustrated because they would need a week to do the same job.
إني شخص بحب شغله كتير، وكان كل حياته بالشغل بين عائلته وشغله. إلي قبل الحرب كان عنده موظفين كتير يساعدوه بالشغل، بس وقت علقة الحرب خاف يحمل مسؤولية الموظفين يروحوا ويجوا، صفى عم يشتغل لوحده. ساعتها انجبرت انزل معه، مع اني انا حدا ما بحب الخياطه وشغل الابره وهالاشياء، بس حسيت حالي مجبوره ساعده، وصفينا على طول بالشغل بيني وبينه، وما نهار وقف.
انا إلي 11 سنه بشتغل مع إيلي ورد وتوني ورد، علاقه خاصه لانه كنت اشتغل معه شخصيا لإيلي ورد ببداياتي. هو حدا مدرسة، وكان لي الشرف انه تلمذت تحت ايده. تعلمت منه الجاكيت، تعلمت منه الابرة، كثير تفاصيل ما حدا عنده اياها.
إلي 23 سنة عند مسيو إلي ورد، وكفيت بعدين مع مسيو توني. مسيو إلي ورد ما في منه، ما اجى مثله ولا بيجي مثله. متطلبة لأنه الشغل بده طلب، كان بهمه الشغل كتير، وصادق كان مع الناس والكل يحبوه ونحبه.
These pieces were built from my father, Eli Ward. He did this years ago, and you can see they're still fresh, they're still new. I remember a few years ago when I started to work in Beirut, some clients would come and say, wow, look at this. This is a jacket your dad did for my grandma, and I'm still wearing it. In 1997, it was our first show in Beirut. They called 20 designers, 10 from France and 10 from Lebanon, to show in the center of Beirut, and it was the first show after the war. It was still all destroyed. It was a very beautiful experience for me. It was my first experience in Beirut.
Encouraged by his first success, Tony Ward kept his momentum going. And in 2004, he presented his first show in the Italian capital. It was the place to be, a memorable milestone for Tony Ward Couture.
After the event in Beirut, we headed to the Gulf. We did a couple of shows, and the shows were very exciting. We had a great return from our Gulf clients. But deep inside, I felt I had to do a bigger step and go more international. I sat with Anna, my wife, my partner in my business, and we had an important brainstorm between Paris or Rome. Rome was still a very important platform for the couture, so Rome it was. The decision was the right one because once we were there, we had an amazing event, we had great presence, it was raining orders, and it was the beginning of a new venture. From Rome, a lot of doors opened. We were with the red carpet in LA, we were in Miami a year after, in New York. Things were getting more complicated but more easy at the same time because we had some recognition being on an international platform.
By the next year, in 2005, Tony Ward Couture was awarded Lago di Oro, the Golden Needle Prize, in the Italian capital of fashion.
It's July 6, 11:30 a.m. Paris time. How did it get there? It was running really fast in all directions. Paris, New York, Milan, Los Angeles, Sao Paulo, Beirut.
This is how the fashion house went international, from red carpet and celebrities to royal families. Tony Ward Couture collections caught the eye of women from around the world.
I don't know where I go.
In 2006, I took a different step from a lot of designers. We had war in Lebanon. It was the year of the war, and we were blocked in Rome. So I took my team and I flew to Moscow. And I did a show in Moscow on the 7th of September. I remember that day. A few months later, I had my showroom opened in Moscow. I think I was the first Italian, European or Lebanese designer who opened a couture showroom there. And then we opened our first ready-to-wear shop and a second ready-to-wear shop. Russia was a very important step in my career. And then we had China, we had new frontiers opening for us.
In 2008, he launched his ready-to-wear line to please the trendy women who jumped from desk to dinner. And by 2011, his bridal line became a fairy tale for every bride-to-be. But the turning point happened in 2014, the year Tony Ward Couture hosted his first fashion show in the frame of Paris Fashion Week.
I did my first show in Paris at the Salon de Rothschild, one of the most beautiful spaces to do the shows. It was very important for me to go back to where I started, and I felt home. That's what I felt.
Forward magazine is the annual magazine for Tony Wedded. It was born from a desire of clients, friends of the brand, to know more about the creative process, the behind the scenes, all what's inside the Tony Ward brand. And Forward, the name, it's a play on words between wedded and forward, from forward thinking, paying it forward, looking forward, fashion forward. All those beautiful expressions that keep us, the brand, the team moving forward. To accompany the evolution of the brand, we were looking at the existing logo, which was a silhouette, a very beautiful silhouette, but we felt like it was not anymore representing the house as it was today. So we decided to create a new logo. We felt like it's something that could accompany the brand, reflect our identity, and stay with us for the future.
By 2018, Tony Ward Couture inaugurated the Paris showroom at 1416 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré.
When they showed me one of the showrooms that was available, and I was a couple of steps far from the first place I worked in Paris at Lanvin, I loved it at the Faubourg Saint-Honoré. So we opened the showroom there, and this is where we started receiving people from Mexico, from Brazil, from the Gulf, Arabic Gulf, from Australia. People were flying from everywhere. Paris is the hub for fashion, and being there is not something you can avoid.
وجودنا بباريس اللي هي عاصمة الموضة كان كتير مهم، فتح لنا باب، صار عنده انترناشونال ويندو، صار عندنا اكسبوجر أكبر. هالشي كتير ساعدنا لأنه بنعرف كتير منيح إنه باريس هي من المحلات اللي مقصودة من كل الفي اي بي كلاينتس بيجوا تو شوب بيج نيمز بيج براندز، فكان وجودنا هونيك وبمحل من أهم الشوارع تبع التسوق بباريس شي كتير مهم لنا.
They call me the architect of detail. I'm a person who's very picky. I get a lot into the details. I like modern art. I like to build a different construction in a dress, left different from right, with the volumes, with the details. I like structure. I like to build a dress as we build a house. And these details and this technique brought me to this point where people see that I mix the romantic with the lines, with the architectural volumes, which is really something very typical in my designs.
The building's straight lines become dress cuts. The geometric forms give birth to patterns. Tony Ward always tries to think out of the box. While trying to satisfy the taste of his clients, he creates collections that combine innovation and masterful cuts and lines.
The decision of building the headquarters in Beirut came after the war in 2006. And I felt that a lot of people wanted to flee, just leave all the mess that we have here. I felt I have to do a step more.
C'était un long chemin. Le choix de l'architecte et les choix de tous les mètres carrés pratiquement devaient être en conformité avec l'image que Tony voulait de son travail qui était de plus en plus international. Donc élégance, pureté, minimalisme et une idée dès qu'on rentre de refinement mais grandiosité discrète.
And this is how the architectural details seen in Tony Ward's designs are also seen in his all-in-one headquarters and atelier workspace in the heart of Beirut.
وهيك انطرح استراتيجيتين لتصميم المبنى. الأولى كانت أنه أو بنقلد تصاميم الديزاينر ونطرز المبنى بتفاصيل معمارية غير أليفة ومبتذلة، وهيك بنكون عم نحارب الكوليكسيون أو عم نحارب البرودكت يلي معروض، أو بنتصرف بشكل متواضع أكثر وبننخفي معماريا، وهيك بتكون الهندسة تبع المبنى الفوندو ستاند للكوليكسيون يلي هي عم تتغير عبر كل السنة.
This is how Tony took ELIE Ward's label and put it on the Paris Fashion Week calendar, creating 7 collections a year for couture, ready-to-wear, and bridal. Drawing inspiration from contemporary architecture, the architect of detail has been able to build upon his father's craftsmanship. Achievements? Yes, they made so many, but they also had to take up challenges, so many challenges.
الكوميرشال استراتيجي اللي كنا ماشيين فيها انقطعت بفترة معينة بسبب البانديميك، واضطرينا نعمل سويتش على استراتيجية تانية تكون سريعة لأنه العالم اون جنرال أخذ ديريكسيون جديدة، وهون شفنا حالنا مضطرين نكون عم نتجه صوب الأونلاين يلي هو بالأيام العادية كان شيء كتير صعب لنا، لأنه البرودوي تبعنا منه برودوي من السهل كان إنه ينباع أونلاين كبرايس بوينت كديتيلز في هالأشياء الكوتور يلي عم نشتغلها مع الكلاينتس. قدرنا نقدم ليفل عالي من الكلاينت سيرفيس، من الفاسيلتيز، يعني حولنا هالاكسبيرينس يلي كانت فيزيكال والعالم معود عليها لشيء فيرتشوال وبالعكس مبسوطين فيه، يعني جربنا ننقل لهم الاكسبيرينس تبعنا كتوني وارد كوتور لعندهم على البيت، وبنفس الوقت نعيشهم نفس الشيء اللي كانوا يعيشوه لو هن كانوا رح يجوا لعنا.
The COVID-19 was a different story for us. We have to close our showroom because of the situation. And we felt the need, we were hearing about the needs. With the Hariri hospital, they were collecting all these sick people from COVID. They were in need of bed sheets, of masks, of protection. So we opened our atelier and we started to produce these things. I was discovering how many grams you put in a bed sheet, how much temperature they can support. So we put our energy there. Fashion was at the service of the community. And we were every day sending bed sheets to this place with no return. with only the biggest return, feeling really lucky to be able to be beside someone else.
2 years into COVID-19, Tony Ward Couture has been able to navigate the pandemic. But the 4th of August explosion, which destroyed the Beirut port and most of the capital, was even more painful to bear. Tony Ward Couture, headquarters and atelier, were all devastated by the blast.
August 2020 was a very sad, hard, but important moment in my life. It's like receiving a slap, and in a way that I realized that things cannot be as they used to, and I have to look at life in a different way. It was tough, but it was very real. Arriving here and seeing most of my employees down, crying, a lot of people with blood on their face, on their head, everything destroyed.
كانت رؤوت كانت كتير صعبة على العالم كلها، بشكل خاص كان على توني أكيد، وهيدا وكله بعده مكمل. وبعد 25 سنة توني شغل، أكيد أنا فخورة فيه، أنا فخورة بكل شيء عمله، وبعده مكمل، وإن شاء الله بيضل مكمل. تحدي، هيدا تحدي، تحدي مع وضعنا، تحدي مع البلد، فوالا، ونحن مكملين، وأنا حده.
Je vois aussi une continuation en expansion, mais qui en même temps garde les valeurs qui ont toujours accompagné cette société dans la personne de Tony, comme le respect des employés et la personne humaine, au-delà de la réussite et du succès.
She is a mother, a wife, a daughter, a client, a hard worker, a friend, an acquaintance, a muse. With more than 20 years up his sleeve, Tony Ward can proudly say that he has dressed affluent women, as did his father 70 years ago. Today, Tony Ward Couture is distributed in more than 50 exclusive high-end boutiques and multi-brand stores worldwide.
Uh, 25 years of work after his 70 years of legacy. I just spent amazing 25 years discovering new things. I'm really very excited to see what is next, what is hidden for me tomorrow. The excitement is still here, and I'm just ready for it.